Hey, what's up? It's Bon. Let's talk about Mass Effect and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I've mentioned a bit on some of my channels, I think in the Discord and some other places, that this Jedi Survivor game is very much, in some ways, what I really hope the next Mass Effect game will be like. If you like Mass Effect, if you like Jedi Survivor, if you like video games, reviews, speculation, and news, please subscribe to this channel, like this video if you do, and leave a comment down below with what you think about what I'm about to say. So let's get into it. I really hope the next Mass Effect takes a lot of inspiration from Jedi Survivor. No, I don't want the next Mass Effect to be a melee combat game. I don't necessarily want it to be a lot like this game in a lot of ways, but what I do hope is the sense of exploration, kind of the loop of the game is what I'm hoping for. I really feel like Jedi Survivor very much is what Andromeda wanted to be. I think Jedi Survivor has kind of feels like a refined Andromeda to me, and I know that might sound silly to some, but if you've played Survivor, let me know down in the comments if you agree or not, because I feel pretty strongly about this. I really noticed as I was playing, I was like, man, this is what they wanted Andromeda to feel like. Like, this is what they were trying to do. Now, it was 6 years ago, so maybe they couldn't have done it back then, or whatever the issues were. We've read all the stories and seen all the documentaries and stuff, but there's just something about the way this game plays, where we have this powerful and pretty respected by some and hated by others protagonist. We have these interesting and not completely black and white antagonists, and we have many of them. Without spoiling anything, I'll say that. And there's just something about, you go into the home base and you talk to the people and you buy the stuff, and then you go out into the world and you get onto a main storyline mission, but then you get sidetracked a little bit by a side quest or by a bounty, or in this world that is very big but not too big, and it's not empty. A big issue I had with Andromeda was that you had these big worlds and they technically weren't empty. There were technically enemies spawning and things like that, but most of it didn't feel very compelling, at least in my opinion, even the side missions and stuff. And even if in Survivor a lot of the stuff is just, find a new way to get to this place and collect this new shirt or something, it always just felt so good, and there was always like a little surprise somewhere, and it made you want to explore. But then the story was so good, you wanted to keep pushing through the mainline story. So I just, as I was playing through Survivor, I just really got this feeling of like, yeah, like you go out, you start in your home base, you go out and you do a main mission and you do some side stuff. Then you come back to the home base and you turn some stuff in, you talk to people. They have, pretty unique things to say every time you see them. You have a little romance going on the side. Jedi Survivor is not a full-fledged RPG. We do not have big, meaningful choices throughout the game. The choices you get to make are basically just dialogue options. I highly doubt they change anything at all about the game. So obviously I want that element in Mass Effect that we don't have here. But it's, you complete the mission, you come back, you talk to people, and then you jump on your spacecraft and you go to another planet to do some other stuff. And you're going around and you're solving problems and you're exploring. And there is just something about Jedi Survivor, and maybe I'm too dumb and I'm not articulate enough to really explain it or to give my thoughts fully on it. You kind of will need to play it to understand. And due to the issues with that game, I understand why people may not be jumping to do that immediately. I did a review of Jedi Survivor and highly recommend it. But I also suggest that if you're on PC or if you're on console and you just want to wait for some patches to fix it up, that might be a good idea. But I love that game. And I just over and over and over again, whether it was the dialogue between the dialogue between the players, the way the story was progressing, the general loop of gameplay, it just really got me thinking like, man, this is like what Mass Effect could be, the next game, 4 or 5 next, whatever we want to call it. And I really believe that that would be the right way to do it. And this is a relatively compact story. It's a big story. It has large implications in the Star Wars universe and galaxy and lore, but it takes place in a relatively small area and on relatively few places. And I've seen a lot of chatter about the next Mass Effect game, and that, you know, by Mass Effect 3 we're traveling all over the galaxy. And Mass Effect 1 was somewhat, it was like a corner of the galaxy, right? We mostly stayed in the terminus systems and stuff like that. And so I think that the Mass Effect could take something from that as well. I don't think the next Mass Effect has to be the biggest game they've ever made. In fact, it may be best if it is geographically the smallest. If it's like Survivor and has, I think Survivor has, from what I've played, maybe 4 or 5 planets you can land on, and 2, maybe 3 of them are, I think it's 2, are pretty big and explorable. Might be 3, but they aren't like too much. You know, with Andromeda, they tried to do too much, and they ended up, you know, not doing it super well. And so I don't know. I just want to make a fairly quick video and just kind of throw it out there for people who are going to play Survivor, who are people who are big fans of Mass Effect. When you're playing, if you decide to play, or maybe you're watching other people stream it or whatever, let me know what you think about, like, what if the next Mass Effect was kind of like this, was inspired by this. Obviously there's a lot of stuff we would want in a Mass Effect game that Survivor doesn't have. I'm not saying I want it to be a carbon copy, but the general feel of Survivor, the spirit of Survivor, I would love to see the next Mass Effect game kind of, I hope it reminds me of Survivor, is what I guess I'm saying. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Like the video if you did. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more Mass Effect videos, if you want more stuff about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, more reviews, more speculation in general. Please be sure to check out my podcast, the Echo Cast. It's on all podcast providers and right here on this YouTube channel. You can find me all over the internet as Bond Diesel on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, for now, Blue Sky one day maybe. And that's all I have for this one. So until next time.